officially set up, and you're ready to go live to all of your end platforms. So let's head back to OBS and finish the process. Once back in OBS, choose Settings from the bottom right. In the window that opens, select Stream. Now, we'll want to select Restream.io-RTMP from the destination dropdown. Once selected, you'll see Connect Account appear. Click this option to finish the process. In the window that opens the connection. Finally, we'll save these settings by clicking OK. These new windows that have opened are the Restream widgets. They'll help you manage your stream without needing to navigate away from OBS. On the far right here, we have the Restream chat, which will allow you to see and send comments to your audience from all of your platforms. Keep in mind, some platforms like Facebook will only connect after you go live. In the center here, we have the Restream Channels widget, which will allow you to be able to select which platforms you're going live to by toggling them on or off. Your title and game. These widgets can both exist outside of OBS, or you can dock them directly in OBS by clicking and dragging them. And that's it. Everything is set up, which means from now on, going live to all your platforms is as easy as opening OBS and clicking Start Streaming. Once you do that, we'll begin sending your stream to all of your connected platforms. Ready to learn more? If you have any questions or suggestions for future tutorials, leave them in the comments below. A powerful yet simple way to add anyone to your streams for interviews, or your co-hosts. Randy here from Restream, and in this video, we'll show you just how easy it can be to stream to all of your platforms at once with your guests. To get started, head over to Restream.io and sign up for an account. Once you've created your Restream account, you'll be able to add all of your channels. For this tutorial, we'll go ahead and add our Facebook and YouTube channels. Now that all of our channels are connected, let's head over to the live studio to get set up for our stream. Here, you can add captions, graphics, and chat as soon as you go live. You can also access your invite link for guest by clicking this icon from the bottom of your webcam. Now, you can copy this link and send it to your guest. Keep in mind, this link is permanent, so you may need to click here to refresh it after the stream. Once your guest gets this link, ask them to open it up in a browser and allow access to their webcam. Once they do, you'll be able to see their webcam on the right-hand side of the Live Studio dashboard. Now you can easily change the look and feel of your stream by enabling their webcam, changing the overall layout of the stream, or even choosing to spotlight their webcam. Once you're happy with the layout, you can go ahead and click live from the top and will instantly start connecting to your channels. While you're live, you'll have access to all the same controls you did before we went live. And that's it. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Otherwise, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and click a video on screen now to learn more.
And what's really interesting about PE is that it actually boots from RAM, meaning when you start up Windows PE, it actually writes to the computer's memory and then runs from there. Conceivably, once you've booted into the CD or the DVD or the flash drive out of the computer, and it'll just keep on running, right? It's running out of effectively a disk. It's supposed to be really, really light much in terms of system requirements. Thinking that doing the Windows 7 upgrade from XP approach would be probably the quickest and simplest way. Old hardware. I figured it would just override all the files, the computer would reboot, it'd just do a little bit more work, and then we'd be done. Apparently it's a little bit more complicated than that, and when it reboots that first time, where we were getting hung up before was it actually booting into Windows PE. Apparently it copies Windows PL, so as part of the upgrade it boots into PE, and then it does more upgrading, moving files around kind of step. If I can get this to work, I've got an ace up my sleeve as to how to get Windows 7 installed. It is already spinning down, the activity light isn't doing anything anymore. I don't know if it's specific, and this is all the more we'll get. This is where you'd start to see in Windows 7, where you'd start to see the 4 colors of the Windows logo coming together. This is where we got hung up last time. I don't know if it's like this computer, if there's something maybe with the motherboard. It is running the latest BIOS. I don't know if it's a graphics thing. Maybe it's a RAM thing. I kind of doubt it. I think it is. Maybe it's a CPU thing. I'm not sure. It might be a mistake to be doing this on a laptop. I don't have any really old desktops. I don't have the space for them. I think laptops, older laptops, are more fun anyway. Working on this one a while longer off camera and see if I can at least get it to a Windows PE command prompt. But I'm going to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if I can't do it. And it kind of sucks to be admitting defeat this relatively early on. I'm going to give this one more shot off camera and we'll see where we can get with it. So it's a decent amount of time later, and you can tell I have a different laptop on my desk. I don't know why that ThinkPad didn't want to do it. If you've got any information about wanting to boot Windows PE, I would love to hear it. I tried for a few more hours after that last shot. I tried different Windows disks. I even spun up another custom Windows Vista PE disk. Built one of those, tried it. It got stuck at the same place. Just didn't want to work, and I don't know why. Again, you got any ideas, let me know. I want to see if I can at least. So we're going one generation ahead. This is a Dell Latitude C. This is a Pentium 3 machine. I believe this one is gigahertz, Giga RAM, 20 gig IDE hard drive, 1024 by 768 LCD panel on this one. So it still kind of adds to the challenge. Still only has like one USB port on the thing. It's definitely an old school laptop. As a side note, I was actually really happy to find this machine. I went to a place here in the Minneapolis is to get computers to people who need them. You know, if you're underprivileged or otherwise need technology but can't afford, not like get it so you can get on the internet and all that. Anyway, they occasionally get really old machines that they just can't turn around and get. And this model actually means a lot to me because I had one of these way back in college when particular unit is almost flawless. Like, it's got very little signs of wear on for charity, and it's not just some guy, you know, going and blowing it on whatever. I'm okay with having spent $50 on an old computer like this, but I suspect it's quite possible this being a Pentium 3 may be the ticket to getting us at least closer, if not to the goal of running Windows 10. I've already got Windows 7 installed on here just to save some time, because again, that just takes forever. I'm going to try and do a similar thing to this one. I want to move it kind of incrementally up until we can get to Windows 10. So then we're going to run on this thing is going to be Windows 8. Now I'm going to do this, I think, in a little bit different way, because I know this can boot Windows PE. I'm not necessarily going to try and do the upgrade from within the OS bit. I'm going to just make sure that I've got all the files that I need on this computer's drive, and then we'll boot it from another Windows PE disk, you know, like the one that I burned. And then I'll show you the alternate method that I was going to use on the ThinkPad to get the OS installed on the hard drive. Well, that's not good. So it just crashed and burned horribly. Threw a whole bunch of error codes and said your computer needs to restart. I don't think that's a very good sign. Okay, so I spent some time last night and I think I've got a plan. I'm hoping this is going to work. There's some good promise to it. I found this website called mydigitallife.net. They've got forums with a lot of people who are pretty experienced with apparently doing this kind of stuff. I found this gigantic thread and I learned quite a bit by poking through that thread, and I found some steps that I'm hoping are going to get us at least this last 10. So Windows 8 requires 3 things of the CPU in order for it to work. I think or XD, depending on, you know, you have and how they label it. PAE allows you to put basically more RAM in the computer than otherwise a 32-bit OS would allow you to do, so the CPU helps with that. So Windows 8 requires you to have that support in your CPU, plus SSE2, which are some additional instructions on XD or NX, which is this apparently is kind of an optional thing that you need to have, but there are still some checks in Windows to see if that's there, along with those other 2 attributes. And I found some really interesting tools that the community at My Digital Life kind of pulled together, along with some good instructions about how you can kind of bypass all those checks when trying to install Windows 8. So I'm going to try those steps now. The first thing I need to do is get into disk part, and we need to format the C drive on this machine because I'm going to be using Windows 8 on top of it. So we start with list disk. Excuse me. 2 partitions. The first 12 gig one, that's the C drive, the second, and everything. So we can also do a list volume, and then what letter C, and then D. Volume 1, FS equals NTFS quick. We need to make that the active partition, okay. And we'll just assign it back letter C again. So we go over to E, which is the CD-ROM, and in here it's pretty much the standard stuff for Windows 7 PE disk. I went out and I built this. It's actually free. You don't have to pay anything to get any of the tools to build a Windows PE disk, and it fits on a CD. And I copied over a couple of things. I copied over this utility, this W8 CPU feature patch, And then I also copied over this tool called ImageX. So this feature patch, that's one of those programs that I found in that forum thread that should help us get where we want to go. ImageX is a Microsoft tool, and that's used to actually run hard drive. So it's part of the way that Windows now gets deployed to computers. Let me kick this off, and then we'll talk a little bit about how you actually install Windows now versus the C drive. ImageX apply, and then in this case it's going to be D install.wim1, and we'll talk about this in a second, and then C:\\. And then that should start writing it out. So in older versions of Windows, we would see it get installed to the hard drive through kind of a DOS environment on a file-by-file basis. If you've ever watched like Windows XP or Windows 2000 or even older OSs, Windows Me, 98, whatever, you'll know that it goes through a whole bunch of file copies, right? It dumps a whole bunch of individual files from the installed disk or floppies to the computer's hard drive. Newer versions of Windows, starting with Vista, and then they use these things called WIMs, Windows Image Files. And it's a major change to the way that Windows actually gets installed. So instead of it being a file-by-file thing, where the setup program figures out which individual file needs to be on your computer based on the computer type and the options that you select, image. And it's a lot simpler because everything's all just packed, and then when the computer, what it doesn't. What's cool about that is you can have multiple versions of an OS within a Windows image. So in one parameter, after specifying which file because I need to pick which specific. Okay, and just like that, we're all done. That actually didn't take too long, 15 minutes or so to copy that image down. So the next step that we want to, so let's go back into the E drive. W8 CPU feature patch. So let's fire that up. So this is but the idea is it edits some of the Windows files to tweak it. Apply to us. Some of these are not going to apply to us. So in this, uncheck backup original file because I kind of have nothing to lose. First thing I want to do is remove. We're going to go into the C drive of my newly installed volume, and that's in Windows System 32. Okay, so there's the winload.exe. Do that. Do I have to do something first? Try it again. No. Do what they call take ownership of that file. Starting with 7, Microsoft started adding special protections to those kind of critical Windows files so that even you, if you're an admin user, can't really get in and screw with them. Part of it's to protect the OS from getting corrupted, but the other part is to protect it from a security perspective so people can't just replace those files with hacked versions, kind of like what I'm trying to do here, that I can actually be able to modify that file, basically defeat its own protection here. Okay, so let's go back into, let's try this one. I know that's the other thing I have to do in NTO. kernel. All right, NTOS kernel. This is actually the kernel for the OS. Okay, so that works. All right, the next steps that we have to do is actually make the drive bootable. Just because we copied the files over to it doesn't necessarily mean that it's in that. Should write some of the boot code. Yep, okay, cool. And then we also need to write a boot sector. And cross finger. Logo. Because the digital signature was verified. Hang on. We got an option here. F8. Okay, and what we want is to do 7. Disable driver signature enforcement. I hope this works. So it's a while later, yet again. This thing is just stuck. Asking me, you know, do you want to set up a local account? What password do you want to use? All that kind of stuff. It can't get that far. So there's boot. Kind of broke the rule and took the hard drive out of this, hooked it up to an ID adapter, it into another computer, and modified the file. And still, no matter what I do, I just can't get Windows 8 to want to boot all the way on this machine. I hate to say it, but I think those CPU extensions that Windows 8 wants actually are really important. And I did find some anecdotal notes in that forum thread. Get away with doing that SSC2 and XD patch. Some said the CPU really needs to support PAE in order correctly. I mean, they wrote the patch capability in there, but a lot of people saying that they just didn't have very good results trying to get it to work on a CPU that doesn't do PAE. I'm just going to say kind of overall 3. Windows 7, no problem. Windows 8, not so much. So we need to move on, see what else we can find to get Windows 8. ThinkPad R51. This is a Pentium M Celeron M series system. Let's get it fired up. It's a Celeron M 1.3 gig, so this is 2 generations newer than that Latitude. What's nice about this computer is it has a DVD drive and it can boot from USB. I paid all of $30 for it. So yeah, send help. I need to stop buying old computers, especially old laptops. But $30, hard to complain. This machine is actually really nice. It does show some wear. This was kind of a Road Warriors computer. There's an asset tag on the bottom. I'm not going to show that before this thing went off to the recycling company. The real bummer is, while it's overall in really good shape and there's nothing broken, it smells a little bit. I cleaned up the outside as best I could, but you can tell this thing has spent some nights in smoky hotel rooms. Because when the CPU fan ramps up, it kind of smells like cigarettes, that sucks. Strangely enough, even though it was used for a business, it's actually got a copy of XP Home on it, and that's actually what the sticker on the bottom of the machine, the certificate of authenticity with the product code, that's what that's for. Somewhat limited, like I'm getting this pop-up about can't connect to a preferred wireless network. This thing has a built-in wireless card, support WPA2, which kind of stinks. So you can't really connect to most modern Wi-Fi, and I'm not really willing to dump my router down to WPA or WEP so this thing can connect. I mean, the security implications are kind of bad. 1.3 gigs Celeron RAM, XP Home Service Pack 3. I don't think the graphics are gonna, blow anybody away. Yeah, it's just the Intel integrated graphics. So some lightweight gaming you can probably get away with. I may just rock Sims like every other computer that I
I have a video showing you how to add guests to OBS with just about every single one. Has a lot of complexity to it and so many things that can go change the screen. It just works. What we want to do is create a new scene. This is going to be our basic scene. It would have our overlay and any widgets we have and all that kind of stuff in your device there, and I want to select the best microphone I have, and that happens to be the one that is on my transform, and I'm going to select fit to widgets and all kinds. But again, most restream. First thing that I want to do is I want to add some audio. My DSL, and I'm going to go to, this is where our camera, I'm going to select the audio from my DSLR, and then I'm going to select my cam link, which is my DSLR, and you can see my audio works and my picture looks pretty good. So we're in good shape here. Now I'm going to go back into OBS and I'm going to add this screen. So I click the plus under sources and I'm going to go to window capture. I'm going to type in restream guests and click OK. And now all I have to do is select the window. If it's not the first one, I just have to find the window in here. If you're using one monitor and you minimize other windows before you open up your OBS, you're not going to be able to see it. This window does have to be up behind the OBS in order to be able to see it. So just keep that in mind. So now that we've captured that screen, all I have to do is crop it. So again, I hold the Alt key and I drag the edges, and we're just going to crop this preview window. And we already know that it's going to be the right dimensions for what we're looking for. So once we crop it up, all we have to do is go to right click, transform, and then fit to screen, and there we go. Now we have the exact same window showing up in OBS that we have for our broadcast in Restream. So we're capturing the video. You can see there's no audio activity, and that's because it's not going to broadcast my microphone. That's why I added my own microphone. We're only going to get audio activity when we add a guest. So let me show you how to do that. I flip back over into Restream, and I'm going to click this little guest button right here. And here you can see you can add up to 10 guests on your stream. It's really awesome. I'm going to click this little double square button to the right. That copies the link to my clipboard. And now I can share this link to anyone I want. And once you have your guests, all you have to do is click this little slider in their window to add them to the stream. And at the top in the right, you can see these two boxes. These change the layout that your guests are situated in. So right now it's 3 of us and we're listed kind of in portrait. But if I click this layout button, it'll show us all in landscape and fill out the screen a little better. Now you can see also on this layout, you can see the backdrop. And I'll show you how to change that later if you want to. Now if I flip over to OBS, you're going to exactly see this preview to whoever is watching you. You can also see that the Restream audio is working just fine, and I can adjust it with the slider if I need to. Now we're going to go back into Restream, and I have another guest. I'm going to add them. You can see Restream automatically changes the layout in order to handle another person. You don't have to do anything. You can go over into Restream, add a guest, and the layout just takes care of itself. It's really, really awesome. I can go up here to the top right, change the layout button again, and you see it just eliminates the ability to see that background. Very, very nice. And when I flip over to OBS, you're going to be able to see that that is exactly what they are going to see as well. Really nice. You can also see that Restream's audio is picking up all of our guests. It's fantastic. So if I go back over here into Restream, let's say we are having a discussion and I can easily control who is highlighted by clicking this spotlight button. When I click the spotlight button, the rest of the guests show up in the bottom right. And this in the preview window is exactly what we're seeing if I flip back over into OBS. So you can basically control your guests in your live stream by just going into Restream and controlling it. And assuming that your connection is stable, you shouldn't really have to play around too much in OBS to have guests on your screen. OBS is just doing the broadcasting. You can do all of the organization right in Restream. Now here is a really cool feature. Jay has added a desktop share. Now you can share any application that's on your computer, so can your guests, which is a really cool feature. So now that I see this is here, all I have to do is I can click Spotlight to add it to the scene. We can have a discussion talking about whatever it is on there. So when I switch the layout and I pop back over here into OBS, you can see that's exactly what we're seeing, what's in the preview window. I can spotlight it so it will appear large and everyone else will appear down at the bottom. You can basically use a screen share as if it was another guest. Really awesome. I can also remove the screen share anytime I want by clicking the slider to the right. Now I can also remove a guest by clicking the slider to the right, and you can see that Restream.io automatically restructures the screen so that it looks correct. If I flip back over to OBS, you can see we're still seeing exactly what's in the preview window. When you change the layout, you're going to get that landscape as usual. It doesn't matter how many people, it does work fantastic. I mean, this takes all of the worry out of live streaming with guests. So let's say you don't really like that little preview sticker that's in the top right hand corner. Well, that's okay. You don't have to worry about that. You see what I did here on the right in setup is I switched off all my destinations, which means I'm not streaming from Restream.io on any platforms. And then all I have to do is go up and click the Go Live button up in the top right. You can see that changes from preview to live, just in case you'd rather have that while you're broadcasting your live stream. Now, let's see what happens when we're in OBS and we're just interacting on the live stream like we normally would, but a guest drops. And there we go. Restream.io restructures the formatting of the screen so that all of the guests that are currently there are still visible. It really does simplify everything. If you were using something like Skype or Zoom and something like that happened, your overlay would just be a complete disaster. You wouldn't even be able to use it. But with Restream.io, everything just adjusts accordingly. It's really fantastic. Now, if Michael drops off, you can see that we have 2 people in. It automatically adjusts on its own as well. I can add Michael back in there, and there we go. You can see here when you spotlight someone and I flip over into OBS, we get exactly what's on the preview window. It's really awesome. I love the spotlight feature. It makes it so easy to have a guest speaker on your live stream. It's really cool stuff. Next, I want to show you how to add the graphics to your scene. Now I can hide this backdrop, and if I wanted to, I could upload a background of my own. If I flip over here into OBS, you can see that the black background is now the background. If we wanted to put the user's name right with their little box, all we have to do is go ahead and slide this participant's name box over, and the names they put are right there. And I can change the color of the backdrop for those names any way I want to. Very cool. And I can also put my name in here so that it shows up in one of these boxes as well. Right here, and we'll just change that color. You know me, I usually like blues, so that looks pretty good. That's what's going to work for me. So now our names are all there, and if we adjust the layout, the name moves with the box. We don't have to go. If we go to portrait layout, all the names move with the boxes. Now let's say I was starting out my stream and I wanted to go live. I would just start on this screen right here. You can see it's the base screen. So this would have your overlay and all of the normal stuff that you have on your live stream. And the beautiful thing about this is I can set up Restream.io while I'm talking to the audience in the background and they don't even know what's going on. Then when I'm ready, I just click Restream and my guests are there and we're ready to go. It's really that simple to set this up and almost nothing can go wrong. Now I want you to take note that every single person who was on this live stream is wearing headphones. And the reason why that is because they can't hear me without headphones without causing lots of problems for the stream, like feedback and looping audio and that sort of stuff. So your guest needs to understand that headphones are an absolute must if they're going to appear on your live. What? You're going to have to wear them too.